Hey guys, Marty here. I was just gonna make a quick video about my Slayer Wander that I got to level 100 with in Abyss Hardcore. A lot of people have been asking me about the build, so I quickly reconstructed it. Some of the gear's been changed around because I'm using it for my Pathfinder Wander that I'm trying out right now. But the gist of the character is, we're stacking Abyss jewels because they're pretty crazy. And 4 link connect blast. The helmet's not very important. The helmet chant, that is. I could easily have just used that Elder helmet with like 2% crit to gems or 3%. I originally was using an Elder helmet with immolate support on the gems in it, but it turns out that that is bugged and gives burning damage support instead of immolate. If they'd ever fix that, then that'll be probably your best in slot helmet is like something with immolate and crit 2 gems. But the supports on the KB are just LE damage with attacks, GMP, damage on full life, and it's more than enough to get everything you need to do done. Crafted myself some pretty nice opal rings. Nothing too crazy, just want a gear that would boost my damage while pushing 100. You can sub these out for Ventor's Gambles if you're doing lower maps, and it works just fine. 2-socket Tomb Fists, mostly just, more supports. I could have got Tomb Fists with, like a Curse on Hit or something, but we get our Curse from Herald of Ice, Curse on Hit, and it's more than enough uptime. And I am using Headhunter on this character. It's a pretty expensive character at this point, but prior to buying a Headhunter, I used Darkness Enthroned with like 2 more 4 property Wander jewels. Wand, it's actually really important to get the gain 19% of elemental damage as extra chaos. I could get it up to 20%, but it's really hard to. If you don't have one of these wands, you can get a Piscators, but I hate Piscators. It's really slow wand, and I don't have enough int for it, so I need to spec into a 30 int node, and it's just really clunky. So yeah, I mean, a wand like this, you don't need the T1 lightning damage. I just got pretty lucky when I was crafting it. You could also go with like a high wed roll. You could go with a T1 crit roll. You could go with a T1 attack speed roll. You could go with T1 fire, T1 cold. There's a lot of potential rolls you could hit on this wand, and a lot, like pretty much all of them are going to be good to go. Then just standard barrage links, LE focus, added cold, damage on full life, LE wed, slower proj, and barrage. Vault race, ink duration, it's really good. It's probably the only vault aura you can have 100% uptime on, even with like not the most juiced map. Then just standard cast some damage, take an immortal call kind of stuff. This wasn't actually Onslaught when I was leveling the character, but I'm using Onslaught for my Pathfinder. I mean, it seems to almost never proc. I've had a much easier time procking it last league. But I mean, I'm just trying it out on the Pathfinder, see how it feels. Another super frequently asked question is why Writhing Jar? And so this jar or flask doubles as a life and a mana flask that are instant, so seething. But the most important part is it's when you use it, you summon these worms, and killing these worms activates your leech for Volpact leech, but you get Endless Hunger Overkill leech, you get Brutal Fervor, stun and bleed immunity while leeching after you've killed the worms, and you get Headsman, the damage killed recently, and the ink AoE if you killed recently. So it's definitely the best flask for any Slayer build. Otherwise, just using a Basalt flask, a Diamond flask, an Adrenaline, Quicksilver, Alchemist Adrenaline, and a Dying Sun. Nothing too special there. Pretty standard Wander setup. As for Pantheons, I'm using Soul of Aracali, just for the increased life recovery rate if you've stopped taking damage over time recently. This works with Blood Rage, which reminds me, that's what I'm missing for this character. We don't have Blood Rage right now, so let me just go buy a Blood Rage. Professional video, but I couldn't figure out what I had in that slot when I was planning this video out, and I guess that answers that. So yeah, we don't need onslaught support. This character uses Blood Rage. I'll probably put a Path of Building link in the description, but yeah, so this is the tree. Basically just taking Abyss Jewels everywhere. That was reasonable. We're getting our Pierce from these nodes, Piercing Shots. If you don't use Piercing Shots, you need to get Pierce for your Kinetic Blast somewhere, so you have to use Pierce Support, which is really inconvenient, so I just opt for using those nodes. If you had a crazy wandcraft, there is actually a Shaper mod that gives you Pierce. I would have used that if I had crafted an insane wand, and in the future I might slam this wand and see if we can get lucky, but I just wanted a functional wand that would last me through to 100, and this was it. But I'll do a quick map demonstration. Let's get Blood Rage on. Hopefully I didn't put an Ellie Reflect map in. Yeah, so this is kind of how the character looks. This is, you know, Shaped Vault, Double Beyond. You don't need to Double Beyond, but once you've got the Headhunter going, if you're doing maps on this character without Double Beyond, it's not going to feel nearly as good. And, you know, once you do have the Headhunter, double beyonding mod, or not double beyond, but just beyond in general in maps actually does make you pretty significantly safer than you would be without it. This map's single beyond, but yeah, double beyond, I'd have even more buffs. I'm even more tanky, even faster, you know. And you can map without beyond, but beyond just makes it so much smoother and feels so much better once you do have that Headhunter going. And like I said, I wouldn't really recommend this character unless you have a pretty heavy budget, because Wanders in general don't feel that good unless you have pretty good gear. You know, this character, the amount of investment I've made in it, it's probably upwards of 150, 200x, maybe more. Headhunter alone, you know, about 120x. And so I leveled this character. Initially, I did most of its leveling solo to about 94. Then my friends were pushing 100 and they needed a carry that could actually like do you know, high tier vaults without having to re-roll tons of mods and stuff. So they asked if I wanted to level with them, and I was totally up for that. I thought it'd be really fun. I've never really done group leveling to 100 before, so I did do that. Unfortunately, our Aura bot died twice on the way to level 100, and the other guy who was our cursor, he died once, so they both unfortunately gave up. But yeah, I mean, you can see the character does pretty well in Vault. You know, if you have more Headhunter buffs, obviously you're going to kill a lot faster. That's with only 2. And no power charges, I'm pretty sure. So, pretty solid character. Very tanky because of the Slayer Leech. Yeah, very hard to die on this character, especially when you're grouping. When you're solo, obviously it's a little easier to die, but yeah, can do pretty much any map in the game. Bosses, though, you know, obviously you don't want to be doing Guardians on hardcore on a build like this, but sure, you could do Elder and Shaper Guardians on this character. And yeah, so this was my first 100 this league. I may end up with another eventually, but yeah, there you go, guys. Hope you enjoy the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the YouTube comments. I'll put a Path of Building link for the character, I guess, and a profile link, but all the gear is currently in use on my Pathfinder Wander. So, you know, a lot of the links are going to change and stuff like that. My Pathfinder is also using Queen of the Forest instead of Belly. I'm using the Belly on my Cyclone Slayer that I'm currently using for Guardians and stuff. So yeah, don't try and check my profile for this character, but hopefully the video answers any questions you guys may be having, and yeah, hope to see you in my stream. Come join my Discord, come chill in my stream chat. You know, stream a ton. Currently having internet issues, but I'm working to resolve that. And yeah, have a nice day, everyone.